Hello, good afternoon. Happy Wednesday, gladiators in suits. Thank you for joining us in another fun-filled learning session. This is Business Writing in the Time of Pandemic, Part 5. It's a hump day. I hope you're excited for, well, 2 more days before weekend kicks in. And I feel bad that every time I do a webinar, I keep on saying weekend is about to happen because arguably it's the only thing that we look forward to in a week, right? It's been a few days since I've started to work again in coffee places because I cannot anymore be stuck inside my apartment for the entire day and be left with no social interaction. Because I'm an extrovert. I need that interaction. I hope you guys are in the same boat with that. Can I get an exclamation mark if you feel the same way? Are you guys happy that at least some establishments are now allowed to be opened? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still concerned because obviously the more you open up the economy, the likelihood that there's going to be friction and interaction for people. And so cases of COVID-19 can continue to rise. But I'm also a believer that you have to strike a balance between the two. So yeah, I can only share my opinions and thoughts in this case. But I'm happy because I live alone. And it's really the time when I've been appreciating so much of mental health. And I would say this, even if I am a motivational speaker, I would say that my mental health has been challenged significantly for the past few months because of the lack of interaction, right? I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that part. And so I do these webinars and I do it for free because it's one way for me to chase interaction and engagement with people. But it's not going to be enough. I need that physical interaction. So I've been playing badminton with some friends in the morning. I've been running. I've been scheduling training sessions with my training again. I'm lucky and grateful because when I get down from my apartment, I'm just a few blocks away from a big park. So that helps me get by as well. Okay. Enough now of ranting from Jonathan. Let's get to business. So I'm looking at the chat box. Jenny Castillo says, good afternoon from FINMA University. I also have folks here from Ron Rabina. I see some familiar faces. I see Jody. I see Alex. I see Gerardo Jimenez. I also have here some more participants. Connie Lascuna from Butuan City. Thank you for joining our session. Lo Mitzi also says, good afternoon. Says same thing with Luz and Mary Eve. Thank you for joining our session as usual and for spending the time post office work with this part 5. Remember, we've been doing this for the past 4 sessions. If you happen to be unable to access them, please take note that you can still catch up and watch the recorded versions of part 1 and part 4. You can scan the QR code or you can copy the link into your browser. They're all 100% for free. Even if you didn't watch the parts 1 to 4, don't worry, they are not interconnected. However, we do recommend that you watch all sessions for further appreciation. I'm looking also at the chat box, looking at the likes section, and I'm only getting 30 likes. May I please demand our viewers to give us more likes, more hearts, please? That will improve our social media algorithm so we can have more participants discovering us and watching our session. More likes and more hearts means you guys are ready to start. Thank you. There you go. I see it going up again. Thank you. I appreciate that. And if you haven't yet liked our Facebook page, please do so. There are so many benefits apart from following our content. When you follow our Facebook page, you get real-time notifications on your smartphone whenever we go online for Facebook Live. That's going to be convenient for all of you as well. Okay. Lilibeth Gaidoan says, our HR recommended to watch your free webinars. Thank you. We appreciate that. We wouldn't exist without the free viewers that we have on stage today. Okay. I'm also going to say hi and hello and thank you to those who are viewing this on LinkedIn and YouTube. Please take note that you can also stream this live webinar for free. Simply follow or subscribe to our YouTube channel and also on our LinkedIn page. Okay. And of course, if it's your first time to engage with us, just want to give a quick introduction of what we do. We help organizations propel their employees to success. So whether it be about public speaking, business writing, motivation, or leadership, these are the companies we have engaged in the past. And we take pride for having conducted our sessions not only in Southeast Asia, but in many parts of the world, as far as Buenos Aires in Argentina, as far as in New York in United States. And if your company's logo happens to be on this page, we thank you, because that means you've been part of our growth for almost 10 years that we have been inspiring people in the region. Okay. I'm looking at the message of Jana Buenaventura, and she says, "Hi, Sir John, see you this weekend. You got this." Which weekend event is this? Is this for the Boost Your Confidence session? I'm just asking because I might be missing. Am I missing any other talk? I have another one for Crazy for Paper for Belvidere folks. But if in case I'm missing another webinar that's not in my calendar, please let me know so I can check that out. Lilibeth, who's, by the way, from Baguio City. We got Joshel and Toffer Legaspi, also from FINMA University of Pangasinan. So thank you for joining our session. If you want to claim a certificate after this session, that's the QR code. That's the link, or you can go to the scrolling marquee down below. You're going to see the link on how to claim your certificate. As usual, we're going to be giving away some freebies to our participants. Prize number one, we're going to give away 2 tickets to our upcoming webinar on September 25. That is this coming Saturday. Boost Your Confidence. It's a 2-hour online bootcamp. The ticket is worth 999 pesos. It's not yet too late to register if you'd like to, or if you want to register your teams, because we have a promo 3 plus 1 for free or 8 plus 3 for free. But for today, you might want to try out, answer our questions later on, or make sure you share this webinar on your Facebook feed, because we're going to give out some raffle. We're going to choose the participants who have shared our webinar on Facebook and LinkedIn. That will be your eligibility to join this contest. Ticket number 2, we're going to give away 2 winners tickets to our email etiquette and business writing. Since this topic is a free webinar on business writing, we're going to advance that further with this session. That's happening on October 2, Saturday at 10 o'clock. That's next week. So I hope you spend time with us. The ticket is worth 499 pesos. But for today, we're going to give away 2 more tickets to lucky winners. Koli Daaka says, "Good afternoon, watching from STI in CDO." Angela Eliana also says, "Hello, watching from Rizal." Thank you for that. Okay, all good? Shall we continue our session now? And by the way, I'd like to invite our viewers, if you haven't yet subscribed to our Viber community, please do so. It's the community where you can receive daily updates about our upcoming webinars, some promos and exclusives about our books, and of course, daily career tips that can advance your progression in your organization. Okay? Let's start. Prepare to engage in the following activities spread across the session. Number 1, keep the chat box as noisy as much as you can. My energy is dependent on your energy. So please keep those questions and your opinions coming in. Number 2, participate in the poll. I'll be asking some questions. Type your answers if it's letter A, letter B, or letter C. And then finally, of course, this is not a podcast. This is not a recorded webinar. This is a live interaction. So please, do not hesitate to raise your questions later on. We're going to crowdsource that so that other participants also get to reply. Okay? Maria Merced Cristobal, do you know that your name is almost the same as this telenovela that I watched with my family when I was young? And it's called Maria Mercedes. Just want to highlight that. So she's from STICDO. Thank you for also watching. Good afternoon from NGCP, says Maria Luisa Takason as well. Thank you. Okay. Finally, if you have any burning, itching questions you'd like to invite us for a private webinar, you have career issues you'd like to seek advice from, that's my email address, jonathanyabut@jycvasia.com. Okay. All good. Let's get to business. Today's agenda, we'll be raising 3 questions on business writing today. And we're going to be helping you improve your ability to communicate, even if it's remote. In today's pandemic times, it's hard to contact people because sometimes you have to secure a meeting with them. You have to invite them on Zoom. They don't pick up the phone all the time. So what's our last resort? We have to send them an email, a text message, or an instant message. That is part of business writing in this case. So here is our first question. Let's answer this. Jonathan, I need to trim my group chats. Speaking of group chats, can I ask our participants, try to count the number of work group chats do you have with your company? Could you please tell me how many do you have? Oh, I got lots. Not as much as I did when I was with AirAsia, because when I was working with AirAsia after I won the show, I had group chats for Philippines AirAsia. I had the group chat for Malaysia AirAsia. I had the group chat with Southeast Asia AirAsia. So probably was managing 15 group chats for work. 15. Imagine that, right? That's exhausting, right? Angela says 11. Ooh. Reina says 7. That's still a lot. Okay. So Robina says 3 to 6 group chats. EJ says 7. Okay. So the question is, they stress me out and I don't need to be looped in all of them. Jonathan, my question is, can I just exit casually, or do I need to inform or ask permission if I want to leave? Okay. I want to ask our participants first, what are their thoughts about this? Please type your answer. It's totally okay to casually exit from a group chat. So in parties, we call this as the French or the Dutch exit. The Dutch exit means you sneakily, discreetly leave without people knowing or finding out that you have left. So what people mostly do in group chats is that they wait for the 2 a.m. or the 3 a.m. time slot, because that's when people are not online and they're likely sleeping, and then they leave that time so that people don't notice it that much. And then the next day, it gets buried by the other messages of people who message in the morning, right? I've done that before as well when I left a group chat discreetly. So I want to see your answers here. Letter A, yes, if your work is done or your project has been accomplished, just leave. Or letter B, it's better to explain to your chatmates why you are leaving. EJ is saying letter B because you have to be more considerate, right? Remember, our ultimate goal here is to manage relationships. And we know that some people might take it against you. Some people might think that you don't have the etiquette. Are there any guidelines or rules for this, Jonathan? So some considerations I'd like to ask. Consideration number 1, please take note, you are responsible for your productivity and the stress management, right? So no one else will take good care of your mental health if you think that you have 16 or 20 group chats to juggle. If they are causing your stress, no one is going to trim that but you. So I will encourage you, if it suits you, then yes, do it. Delete and leave group chats that every second has so many notifications, but you also know that you're not supposed to be there because you are not needed in it. Someone looped you in, they thought you are important, but your job is already done. No one's going to take that out. No one is going to delete you from the group chat. Sometimes it has to be you to do that. However, right? So here's my request. However, do it with grace and do it with professionalism, right? So number 1, remember that people will keep on looping others in group chats as long as they want. So number 1, if you've been looped into a group chat, don't take it personally. It's not because they want to keep on bugging you, because it's because they think that you are an important part of that loop and that you need to be constantly updated about what's happening with the project. Okay. Number 3, if you decide to leave, consider saying something like, team, my portion is done for this group chat, so I will leave. Otherwise, if you need to message me, you can message me separately. Can I get an exclamation mark if you're on the same boat with that? So it doesn't hurt to type that, by the way, right? And the reason for this is that depending on the culture of the company, depending on the culture of your chatmates, some of them might think that you are either evading something from the project or you did something that was rude or impolite. Personally speaking, I will not see it as something impolite. If you do that to me, I don't have any issues with it. But I want to highlight this because not everyone is like me. Some people are more sensitive. Some people follow certain etiquette and culture. Some people will set some rules. So be considerate of what those guidelines and rules are. Number 4, whenever a new group chat is created, before you even engage and interact, before things get even more complex, my recommendation, consider challenging the need for it and explain the reason why. So I've done this many times. There are moments wherein some people keep on creating new group chats when they don't need to because the existing group chat will suffice. The existing group chat will do the purpose. The only reason why they want to create a new group chat is because they find it more convenient to talk about something else. They find it more convenient to take away some people because they don't want them to know their hidden agenda. Whenever someone does that to me, I question their motive and I tell them, for efficiency purposes, it's best that we keep everything in the same group chat rather than branching out into multiple ones. Right? Can I get another exclamation mark if you're in the same boat with that? So, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. Before you even say yes to enter a group chat, question the person, challenge the architect, challenge the motives of the people. And as long as you have the right reasons, you can politely decline and say, Jonathan, thank you for inviting me, but I'm already a member of another group chat and it's also involving topics X, Y, and Z. For purposes of simplifying my inbox, I'd like to keep it. I'd like to keep that group chat instead. Right? Okay. Ooh, I like this question. Before we proceed, let me ask for this from June. So June Marinas has a very good question, and she says, group chats sometimes are not retired, meaning the project is done, no one is messaging in it anymore, but it hasn't been dissolved. Should we also initiate this, and how is it done elsewhere? So as simple as you've visualized it and as if you've done it, it will be great. Whoever is the project leader can message the rest of the team and say, hi team, since the project is now done, I'm going to be dissolving this group chat. Okay? And people just exit. Sometimes that formality is not needed. You know what happens most of the time? People just exit to the point that only one person or two people get left behind until the host dissolves it. Because I want to highlight, the only person who can dissolve a group chat is the person who created it. So many times, if you want to dissolve something, it has to be the host who initiates that. Okay. Why is it important to dissolve chats? Well, for many reasons. Number one, some people want to keep their privacy. They don't want their phone numbers to be displayed in so many group chats or their contacts to be taken. Number two, some people can accidentally message in a group chat and that can disturb other people. Number four, for reasons that they just don't want, they want to simplify their inbox. They want to simplify their windows. So there. All right. Thank you, June, for that question. Okay. Before we proceed to question number 2, let's give away some 2 tickets now to our upcoming webinar on September 25. If you're interested to join, we still have 3 days left for registration. The ticket, because the early bird rate is now finished, the ticket is now 999 pesos per pax, and you get to enjoy group or corporate discounts, 3 plus 1 for free and 8 plus 3 for free. So it's a 2-hour online bootcamp on public speaking and also business writing, September 25, Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning. What will be our mechanics for joining the contest to get the 2 tickets? Well, it's simple. For today, we are going to call out the winners based from those set of people who have shared this webinar on your Facebook feed. So please make sure you have shared this on your Facebook feed or LinkedIn feed. How do we find out if you have shared it? On top of your name in the chat box, there is a word that says sharer. And there's an icon of multiple photos, multiple silhouettes of people. If you do not see that, that means that you have not yet shared our webinar on your Facebook or LinkedIn feed. Okay, so I'm going to call out now 2 winners. My first winner, ladies and gentlemen, for 1 ticket is Robina Salandanan. Congratulations, Miss Robina Salandanan. You get to win 1 ticket for our Boost Your Confidence workshop. My second winner, ladies and gentlemen, and make sure that you have shared this webinar on your Facebook feed or LinkedIn feed. If you guys are good, my second winner, the name is Chris Jerome Sanji. Chris Jerome Sanji, congratulations for sharing also this webinar. How do you claim your prize? You see that below, there's a scrolling marquee there. It says there, Winners, please claim your prize here. Please copy that link, go to your internet browser, and we're going to be requesting for your email address so we can send your Zoom link. You see that? bit.ly/jy/prize. Okay. Congratulations. We're going to give away one more set of tickets later on, so please stay tuned. Let's proceed now with question number 2. Jonathan, is it okay to disrupt an email thread and respond to a person through a phone call instead? There's this issue I want to resolve that is best discussed real time. And I would assume whoever sent this question, the idea is that if you keep on typing your answers in an email, it will be more complicated. It can be prone to misinterpretation and it eats up more time, right? So why not do a phone call instead to settle it once and for all? Agree? So I want to ask a question first to our participants before we share some considerations here. Do you know someone? Sorry, not that question. Not that I shared the wrong slide. My question is this: yes or no? Okay, please type Y or please type no. My question is: do you think that it's okay to stop responding to a person on email and pick up the phone and call them up right after they sent the email? Okay, yes or no? Let's see your responses. Is that being too rushed? Is that being too emotional? What do you think? Let's see your responses here. Is it okay to pick up the phone, call someone? Have you been in those situations? I've been into those situations. Someone sends me an email, and right after I've read it, I'll say, "Oh, this is a complicated discussion. I am not gonna honor this email. I'm gonna make a phone call instead." Right? I'm seeing a lot of Y in the chat box. I'm seeing some letter N in the chat box. So here are some considerations I'd like to share. Number 1, please note that emails are first line platforms for communicating, but you have to acknowledge the fact they are not the best ones for all types of communication. What do I mean by that? Some emails, because they are lengthy, and some emails, because there is absence of body language, people are misinterpreting it that you're not in a good mood. Some people think that you are mad. Some people interpret that when you put something in uppercase letters, you are aggressive. So those things likely will be reasons of misunderstanding. The number 2 reason why I don't like email is that when something is so urgent, it takes a while for you to wait for their response. I can't wait for 4 hours. I can't wait for 2 hours. I need the response now. So I'm not going to use the email. I'm going to call, or minimum, I'm going to send an SMS or instant message to a person. Number 2, phone calls and video calls or face-to-face engagement do a better job for real-time communication. Here's the other reason why I also prefer real-time communication. If you want someone to be in their most honest form, real-time communication is the best. Why? They don't have additional time to prepare their answers. So you can catch up with them immediately and make them accountable. And if you're doing it via video or face-to-face, you have an idea if they are lying because their body language can also say it. Right? That's why I prefer that platform. When you decide to do a call, however, consider saying something like, "John, I'm calling regarding your email and it can be complicated to email it. So I hope it's okay. I'm aligning it quickly." Sometimes what I would do is I would message first the person via instant chat or SMS and say, "John, I got your email. It's best to discuss this over phone. Are you free in the next 5 minutes? Can you spare me 10 minutes later after lunch? Can you be free at this time?" So sometimes calling immediately might be too invasive, but I will ask permission first via SMS. And the point is, nope, not going to respond to your issues on email. Let's settle this via a phone call or a meeting instead. Okay, I'm looking at the chat box right now. Let's look at what some people are typing. So Sesong says, "No, you can type that in that. You will give them a call shortly to let the other people on the loop. The discussion is still progressing, however, outside the thread." So that's what I just mentioned a while ago. Thank you. I agree with this part. Also with Marie, no, not right away. Reply through email and ask if you can call. That's another way of doing it also. After the call, send an email again confirming the information you've discussed over the phone. So this is where relationship is important. If you're very close with this person, you probably don't need to ask for permission anymore. Simply call them up and say, hey, Fa, I saw your email. Can I ask about this? Blank, blank, and blank. However, I agree with Marie and says, if it's your first time to engage with this person, you don't have any emotional bank account yet. It's absent. Best not to ambush them through a phone call. Best that you say, hey, to discuss this efficiently, can we do a phone call? Can I do a text? Can I do a meeting with you instead? Okay. Here's one more from Angela. Angela says, you can clarify first with the sender, then formalize it through a summary after your discussion via email. Okay. Very good. Here's my last consideration that I'd like to share. Right. So when people do a phone call, please take note that a phone call emphasizes voice. It emphasizes presence. So a voice call or a video call is not just there because you want real-time communication. It's because you're asserting your presence to the person. This is very important when you have not yet met the person face-to-face. When you finally show your video, when you finally share your voice, they have an idea how commanding you are. They have an idea how pleasant your personality is. So I always recommend at some point in your conversation, do a phone call, do a video call, right? I will not talk to someone for more than, let's say, 6 months or 1 year. Have you been in those situations? You've been talking to the same person for many years or many months, and yet you don't even know how they look like. You don't even know how their voice sounds. It will be great to put some level of intimacy because that puts trust. That allows you to unravel the personality of the person. And when trust is present, it makes the job faster. Okay? All right, let's proceed to the next part. Can I get an exclamation mark if we are in the same boat so far? Very good. Thank you. I want to make a quick announcement. September 29, this is next week, also on a Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. Please join us for another free webinar. This is How to Manage Conflicts with Colleagues and Managers, Part 4. So if you have any questions about politics at work, conflicts with your colleagues, issues with your boss, please send me an email, jonathanyabut@gmail.com or jonathanyabut@jycvasia.com, and we'll feature it. We'll change your name, we'll change some of the sentences, so we make sure that you'll be able to get some tips, right? So I hope you drop those in our email addresses. Here's one more webinar on October 6th, Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. Tips to overcome your shyness, part 3. So this is also about public speaking. If you want to improve your ability to face an audience or to embrace the need to communicate, even if it's remote, via Zoom or whatever it is, this is also the session from you. Okay. Lastly, again, just want to do another call out. If you missed part 1 to 4 of this topic, you can check out the recorded versions of them, scan the QR code, or you can also copy the link into your browser. Let's end the session with question number 3. And here's the question. Jonathan, there's this colleague who replies to my emails via instant messenger instead. I've attempted many times to bring it back to email, but she keeps on responding again via WhatsApp. This has happened to me sometimes. I want the entire conversation to be done via email so I get to document all replies. How should I manage this? So it seems like we have 2 objectives that we need to cover. Number 1, document the conversation. And number 2, bring it back to where you want to do it, which is email in this case. So before I answer this, I want to throw the same question first to our participants. What would you do if you were in this situation? Again, the situation is you keep on emailing the person, but they're not replying to you on email. They're replying instead via WhatsApp. They're using a different platform. You can still read the response, but you're wondering why it has to be in a different platform, right? So what would be your answer? Letter A, confront the person through a meeting. Letter B, Loop others in the email and call her out. This sounds like a kid, by the way. Letter C, go with the flow and continue the conversation in WhatsApp as she wishes. So I'm going to give you a few seconds for this. What would be your response? By the way, if your answer is not in the list, you can give us a different response in there. Just type it in the chat box. So I have a few responses now. Some people are typing letter A. Some people are typing letter C. Mostly though, letter A, confront the person through a meeting or through a phone call. Very good. Thank you. Let's look at your responses and let's compare them with a few considerations. So consideration number one, please note, you are the owner of the conversation because you initiated it. Therefore, by default, you have the privilege of dictating how it should be executed. Take note, however, if you're talking to someone who may be more senior, someone who's probably a client or customer, they also have the control over it because that's just how things are usually at work. I am not a big fan that your seniority becomes the reason why you should influence the flow of the conversation, but some people have that in their mindset. So expect that people are going to challenge you even if you're the ones who initiated the conversation. Number two, seek first to understand. Could you please type that in the chat box? It's a very famous line from Stephen Covey. Seek first to understand, from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So seek first to understand, investigate and probe why she prefers to reply via WhatsApp or Viber. And why is she avoiding email? There must be an underlying reason. Is it because she's always out in the field, so she can't respond to her emails? She only has access to WhatsApp or Viber. That could be the reason, right? Her internet connection is best suited for instant messaging, not for email. Number two, is she avoiding someone in the email thread? Is there someone in the loop that she doesn't want to be part of the audience, for example? Or number three, is she just simply a believer that emails are inefficient? It takes time to manage an inbox. It's better instead to do it via instant messaging. So seek first to understand. Try to, you know what I would do? If this has gone to a point where you've been irritated for so long, I would sometimes look for clues through her other colleagues and friends. I'm going to ask some people, hey, I'm noticing that Joanna is the type who doesn't respond to email. Is she the same in your team? So this is important because you want to validate if she does this to everyone, because that means it's her style that she wants to prevail. That's the first one. Number two, if you want to seek first to understand, I will ask this directly from the person. So I'll say something like, hi, Joanna, thank you for your responses. May I ask, however, why your responses are always on WhatsApp? It will be great if you can also respond on email, because I will be able to manage the documentation of the responses. So ask questions before you even judge the person that, she's not looping in her answers in the email because she's just a snob like that. Okay. Final number three, when you ask the question and she gives her response as to why she's responding on Viber or WhatsApp, find time to explain to the person why you want her replies in email. So for example, say something like, I understand that WhatsApp and email is going to be faster for you, but I need to get it documented because at some point I need to loop in some people in the team, right? Or say something like, for future purposes, this documentation is best done via email, not via Viber or WhatsApp. Don't get me wrong, WhatsApp and Viber also get to document conversations, but you don't get to forward conversations, you screenshot them. And sometimes that's going to be inconvenient versus forwarding an entire email thread, right? So I'm looking at the chat box right now, and we got some interesting responses here. So Casey says, will reply via WhatsApp and Viber to kindly request her to reply through my email instead. Okay. Jana also adds, I confronted a co-employee regarding this. Okay. And I told him that I might overlook or mislook at his message, but more than anything else, we are not close. Yeah. The best way is to explain to them that it could be a logistical issue. I need it to be in emails because most of the time, majority of my communication is via email, and I want to make sure that I get to in touch or be in the loop with everything that happens. Okay. I have another response here from Mark, and Mark says, so this was an unpopular opinion. So Mark says, in this case, if the person prefers to do WhatsApp and if it doesn't hurt the documentation, why not continue the message on WhatsApp? I also agree with this. So while we are biased about using emails as the primary form of communication, I don't see anything wrong if the entire conversation is done on WhatsApp. I've been there. I've had so many clients wherein the client just doesn't want to use email. We finished the entire project on WhatsApp instead. WhatsApp can do a lot of things that email does. It can attach documents, right? You can loop in other people. So there's a group chat. It can, how they call this? It can be integrated as an applet or as a plug-in for other devices. So if documentation is your issue, there is a way to save chats as text messages. And that's in the settings part. I know it's advanced, but that's in the settings part. But also because if your people is more engaging and more responsive on WhatsApp, why not be the one to follow their lead and instead engage them on WhatsApp? Again, it's easier said than done. It will depend and be on a case-to-case basis. But yes, I'm just here to say that it's possible that you don't need to cover an entire conversation on email the entire time. Because mind you, I want to highlight this. We don't know if emails are still going to be the future of communication. Emails might be dead in 5 or 10 years. I will bet that in the future, LMS, or you know how Microsoft Teams works? Microsoft Teams is actually an email platform on steroids. The only difference is it's embedded with a chat box, and you send your attachments in the chat box. And then you can also click video or phone call to the person. So I won't be surprised if emails die in the next 5 or 10 years and they get replaced with a multimedia platform instead. What does this mean? As long as you're able to achieve the objective, then any platform can also work. Okay? All good? Casey also says you may screenshot as well your conversation. Yep. Again, I'm going to highlight my only complaint about instant messages or chats is that you don't get to forward. You can't even forward a conversation to another person in a group chat. You have to screenshot it. So that can be tedious for some people at times. All right. Can I get another exclamation mark? Are we learning something so far about business writing tips? I hope we are. All right, and now is the time that a lot of you maybe have been waiting for. Today, this part now is going to be about opening the floor for some Q&A. So gladiators in suits, if you have any question, please type it now and we'll be displaying your question in the screen on the screen so we can crowdsource responses from other participants. I'm going to give you a few seconds for this. I hope you can raise your questions. Okay. While some people are still typing their questions, I will give you time for that. I'm going to do my last online contest now. So this time, I'm going to be giving away 2 tickets for our upcoming webinar on October 2. This is next week. Email etiquette and business writing. That's happening on a Saturday at 10 o'clock. An online workshop to improve ways of writing business reports, emails, and instant messages. Okay. If you guys are ready, I'm going to call out now again 2 people who have shared this webinar on their Facebook or on their LinkedIn feed. Okay, I'm going to give you a few seconds. If you haven't yet shared this webinar, now is the best time for that. We're going to be randomly selecting 2 winners. And if you guys are ready, let me call out now. I hope you are. I hope you have shared our webinar. My first winner, ladies and gentlemen, the name is Rush Porusi. Rush Porusi, congratulations. You win 1 ticket for email etiquette and business writing. Thank you for that. My second winner, ladies and gentlemen. Are you guys ready for this? My next winner, the name is Angel Ehan Santos. Angel Bagajo, Ehan Santos. Congratulations. You also get to win 1 ticket for email etiquette and business writing. How do you claim your prize? Please give me your attention on this. Look at the bar below, the one that's scrolling from right to left. You see that? There's a part there that says winners claim your prize here. Please copy that link so we can capture your email address and we'll be able to send you our Zoom link. Congratulations to our winners. Okay. Let's give an exclamation mark to our winners, by the way. Thank you. And again, that's October 2. That is on Saturday. If you're interested to join this session, please don't let this chance leave. There's so much learning that you can get from this webinar. It's about improving your ability to engage people, choosing the right set of words, and also applying digital etiquette. Okay. So I'm going to look at the chat box now. Let's look at some questions from some people because I've seen some. There is this question from Jana. So Jana has this question. Any data privacy concerns with instant messages? Well, first and foremost, taking a screenshot is allowed for everyone. The only thing that I'm familiar with data privacy concern is that when you collect phone numbers of a group of people, number one, you have to declare the purpose of why you are collecting it. So for example, do you agree that we are collecting your phone number for purposes of asking survey or feedback about our customer service? If that was your intention, then that is the purpose that you're going to use when you blast those SMS. If you're collecting phone numbers because you want to promote and advertise your products, indicate that when you are collecting. And the reason for that is because when you collect numbers and you do activities outside what you promised to the customer, then that means you're simply spamming. Number two, if you share the collected mobile numbers to another party without disclosing it to the person who gave their consent, you're also spamming. So be careful about that. Let's say you're working for company X, you collected 5,000 mobile numbers and you want to send them an email blast, for example. Don't share that to your best friend just because she's your best friend and she happens to be working for another company Y. That is also spamming. And that is against the Data Privacy Act because you're supposed to collect numbers and email addresses and you should have been transparent as to why you collected them. Okay. Ooh, I like this question from, I can so relate to this. Question from Ease. It's hard to, I don't think this is a name. But anyway, let's call out this response. Some people will not answer emails and prefer calls to avoid documentation. I agree with this. So, I would do this as well. If I know that the conversation is so critical and I am not in the best shape because they might take my words against myself, so I will not do an email. I will talk to the person face to face. But what if you are in a position wherein you want to document it? The best way is continue the call conversation, but after the call, send an email or an SMS, copy the person, better yet, include other witnesses in that email and say, "Hi, Jonathan, thank you for taking that call. As discussed in that phone call, here are the 4 things that we agreed on," right? So that way, even if you did not discuss it on email, it was documented on email. Now you're challenging the person to acknowledge the email and say, "Yes, I agree. These things are true." Also include a witness so that the person is not going to deny in the future that he did not receive any email at all. Okay? I hope that works for you. Thank you for raising that question. All right. Any more questions before we wrap up our show today? I hope you learned something. All right. If none, I'm going to do one more plugging. So don't forget again, save this in your calendar, September 29, Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. How to manage conflicts with colleagues and managers, part 4. Please save that. Save the date, take a photo or take a screenshot. I have one more question here from Jody. Jody is saying, is it okay to loop in your boss if I have certain clarifications? For example, the instructions was given to a specific person, but it seems vague or not clear. I don't see the reason why someone will take it personally. When you loop in the person, the general rule, however, please take note of this, is to explain why you are looping in that person, right? Also, do not loop in a person without mentioning it to the people, because that means you're doing it sneakily. And some people might think that you have intention. So when you loop in someone else, say something like, looping in Jonathan as he may have thoughts on this issue. Looping in Mrs. Santos as she is the approver of the project. So explain why you are looping others. Please also take note, some people who are in the email thread may not know who that person is. So you might also want to properly introduce them first, no matter how high their position is. All right? Thank you, Jody, for asking that question. Oh, Amir is also adding this from LinkedIn. He says, you might want to check out Blockwork. Blockwork is aiming to modernize employee compensation. I think it's a plug. I think it doesn't have to do with emails, but thank you nevertheless for sharing that as well. All right. Okay. If there are no more questions from our participants, thank you for joining today's session. We had great fun with you and learned with you again. I'm going to leave you behind before I end this session with our QR codes. If you'd like to watch our past webinars, please scan the QR code or copy the link into your browser. If you'd like to claim an optional certificate for your webinar, you can also copy the link or also scan the QR code. I hope to see you in our session next week. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your week. Take care of someone that you love and continue being critical with your environment. Bye, guys.